2. We'll do that last. So
I
my
got
point is
that.
actually pretty clear, which is if you go to the source text for this supposed prophecy, it's actually not a prophecy, and the person who's talking is actually a sinner. So in Psalm 41,
A
it's actually just a
sinner?
lament. Yeah,
Did you
we'll
say
read it.
the source for it is a sinner?
Yeah,
I don't know why that would matter, but
because
okay.
Jesus is sinless.
Why would Jesus quoting a sinner make any, why would that impinge on Jesus's character?
Because he's saying that
Everyone Jesus quotes is a
this.
sinner
Do you
in
want the
contrast to
answer? Do
him.
you want the answer? Or do you want to sound stupid?
Let me sound stupid for a second. All right, second's over. You can go on.
Okay. He says that this is about him. And the quote is, "The one who ate of my bread has lifted his heel against me," which means he's identifying himself with the speaker, correct?
Uh, oh, I get what you're saying. So you're saying that because the psalm is written by David, who says, "Even my close friend in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, has lifted his heel against me," you're saying that he's identifying with a sinner and thus this makes him a sinner?
Nope.
Then what's your point? I don't get it.
What I'm saying is, if Jesus is not a sinner, he can't identify himself with the person in Psalm 41 who is speaking, because the person speaking in Psalm 41 is a sinner. It happens to be King David. Why in verse 4 it says, "As for me, I said, O Lord, be gracious to me, heal me, for I have sinned against you. My enemies wonder in malice when I will die," so on and so forth. So the speaker here is not the Messiah, it's not Jesus, it's King David. So when we get to verse 9, and he says, "Even my close friend in whom I trusted, who ate of my bread, has lifted the heel against me," this is clearly not related to Jesus whatsoever.
You went to Bible college, right? Or
Sure
seminary?
did, which is why I know this. The cope that you're about to utter is going to be the dumbest thing you've said all day.
What?
You're going to
Predict it.
say that it's typological
And how is that the dumbest thing that I could say all day?
because typologies are the dumbest cope that has ever been invented. Anyone can go into the Hebrew Bible and just find stuff that sounds vaguely familiar to them and call it a typological prophecy. In fact, I've done it myself. You want to hear some that I've fulfilled typologically?
The argument commits a category error, false dichotomy, by assuming that if Jesus identifies with a statement spoken by a sinner, David in Psalm 41, he must therefore share the same sinful moral status, confusing representational or typological identification with moral identity. This is reinforced by a straw man, where the position is distorted into Jesus identifies with a sinner and thus becomes a sinner, rather than simply fulfilling or applying the text. Compare Gospel of John 13:18. It also relies on a genetic fallacy by dismissing the passage's relevance because its source is a sinner, and on personal incredulity, rejecting typology as the dumbest cope instead of engaging it. The exchange is further weakened by ad hominem attacks. Do you want to sound stupid? And hasty generalizations about typology. At its core, the reasoning collapses because it assumes identification requires moral equivalence. This is like saying that if someone quotes or represents a criminal in a courtroom, they must themselves be a criminal, which simply does not follow.